He didn't yell. He didn't bluff. Larry Bird said it and made it happen.
So, Larry Bird was a great trash talker.
Larry Bird, to me, it was so much fun playing against him because he talked so much.
And he would do it like a ventriloquist because you couldn't see his mouth move.
Most trash talkers in the league tried to get attention by being loud and talking constantly. Larry Bird was different. He didn't waste words trying to look tough. He watched the court carefully, like a chess player studying the board. He noticed the defense, the spacing, and any small hesitation in a defender's stance. Then, at the right moment, he would say something simple and direct. He didn't yell or make big gestures. His calm, flat voice made it clear what was going to happen, and that was what really messed with people. Bird would look at the defender and casually say the play, the spot on the court, sometimes even which hand he would use. And he didn't say it like a threat. He said it like he was talking about the weather. Then the ball would be inbounded, the play would start, and Bird would move to that exact spot. No rush, no panic, just smooth, perfect timing. One quick step, a clean shot, and the ball would go in exactly like he said.
It's Larry. If he wants the ball, he wants the ball. After the timeout, we walk back on the court, and then Xavier was guarding. So he tells Xavier, he says, I'm getting the ball.
I said, I know, I'm going to be waiting. And he said, I'm going to get it right here. I'm going to shoot it right in your face.
10 seconds. 5, and Bird has the basketball. Look out. Larry Bird, just phenomenal the way that
he came out with about that exact spot and shot a shot right in my face. And, he was like, I didn't mean to leave 2 seconds on the clock. He wanted to shoot it with 0 seconds on the clock. I walked back to the sideline like, damn.
Probably the best NBA moment was Larry Bird. Same guy, same era. He walked in and kind of stretched in front of our bench one day before our game started. He says, I'm feeling like 41 tonight. And I'm looking around. I said, nobody's popping out. Nobody's saying anything back. I said, well, this is weird. And he scored his 41st point to start the fourth quarter and checked himself out with a 20-point victory. And that was game over. So these guys can back it up.
Xavier wasn't soft, man. And Larry wasn't either, man. Larry said, man, I'm going to give it to you any way I want to. One dribble.
That style of play wore people down, not just physically, but mentally. Defenders weren't just guarding a scorer anymore. They were guarding someone who seemed to know the future. NBA legends who faced Larry Bird still talk about it. They don't remember wild insults or yelling. What stuck with them was the feeling that whatever Bird said was going to happen already would. It felt inevitable. Bird did it so often that everyone on the court knew the situation. The crowd knew, his teammates knew, and the defender in front of him definitely knew. When Bird pointed to a spot, it felt like the game itself had agreed with him that he never begged for attention or tried to create chaos. The scoreboard did the talking. One sentence, one possession, another basket. That's why players still bring up his name decades later. Not for being loud or mean, but because he was precise. Every word had a purpose. Every move had intent. And when Bird spoke, everyone knew where the ball was going, and still couldn't stop it. Take Xavier McDaniel, one of the toughest defenders of his time. Strong, proud, never scared. But even he faced one of Bird's coldest moments. Late in a close game, with tension high, Bird looked McDaniel in the eye and calmly told him what was coming. No bluff, no anger, just facts. He told him the move, the shot, even where McDaniel would be when the ball went through the net. McDaniel stayed ready, like the defender he was. But none of his toughness mattered. Bird caught the ball, sized him up, and rose for the jumper. Same spot, same calm release, same result. Splash. Game over.
It was non-discriminatory in regards to who got.
Wait, what would he say to you? You're one of the nicest guys on the planet. What can
Well, I didn't get the brunt of it, as I've heard over the years. Get your hands off of me. Gonna be a long night. That kind of stuff. You can't guard me. And he would do it like a ventriloquist because you couldn't see his mouth move.
What kind of stuff did Bird say?
Oh, he was a lot. I remember a couple times he drove to the hole and I tried to jump and try to block the shot. You better sit down, boy. You know, you're going to pop your arm out of socket before you get this. Or before I got there, you know, there was a big thing between he and Bernard King.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the guys telling me that I used to run by the bench telling, you know, Hubie Brown was the coach. Hubie, you better get Bernard off me. I'm liable to get 60 tonight. You better put somebody else on me. Just, you know, things like that.
That moment stayed with Xavier McDaniel for years, not because he lost, but because of the certainty. Bird didn't talk to scare anyone. He spoke like the ending was already written, and everyone else on the court was just watching it unfold. John Stockton, a young rookie at the time, had his own unforgettable encounter with Bird. During warm-ups, Bird casually walked near the Utah Jazz bench. No show, no crowd, just moving as if it were a normal night. Then he quietly said something to Stockton. No edge, no theatrics, just a calm statement of intent. Stockton noticed immediately. Bird never spoke randomly. When he said something, it meant he had already visualized exactly how it would happen. Gary Payton, known as the glove for his relentless trash talk, also learned the difference. Possession after possession, Payton challenged opponents with words, but Bird didn't play that way. He stayed calm, precise, and utterly confident. His quiet certainty left Payton in uncharted territory. No yelling, no escalation, just absolute proof when Bird did exactly what he said he would. Payton explained why Bird's approach worked. You believed him. Not because he sounded threatening, but because he sounded certain, flat, calm, emotionless. You'd run back on defense thinking about what he said, and seconds later, the shot would go exactly as described. Every word was intentional, every movement calculated. Even Clark Kellogg, who played during Bird's prime, witnessed this. Bird's words weren't just trash talk. They were a strategic part of the game, affecting defenders, teammates, benches, and even coaches. When Larry Bird wanted to prove a point, no one on the court could stop him. What stayed with Kellogg were the small moments, the quiet comments Bird would slip in during a play. Short sentences, calm voice, almost like he was just observing. Sometimes people would ask Kellogg later, "What did he even say to you?" He'd just laugh. "You're one of the nicest guys on the planet." What could he say?
It's just my era. I grew up idolizing Larry Bird. It was funny, the first time that I played in my rookie year, I guarded Larry Bird, and it took me about 10 minutes to realize I should be probably guarding him instead of staring at him. You know? And he came down, it was funny, he came down one time, and Mark West was the center on our team, and Larry looked at me, and then he looked at Mark, and he said, Mark, I'm going to go down, I'm going to come off the screen, I'm going to catch it right there, I'm going to turn around, I'm going to shoot it in the rookie's face, and then I'm going to run down the floor. And that's exactly what.
Like
No.
6'7" Notre Dame guy, white guy, really good defender, right?
Okay.
They put him on Larry, and Larry was wearing his ass out.
Absolutely.
And Larry would run by the bench and tell Doug Moe, who was the coach, get him off me. That's disrespectful. No, that's disrespectful.
Yes.
It's disrespectful.
Yes.
He says, disrespectful for y'all to put a white guy on me. Yeah. Put a black guy on me.
Bird didn't always try to embarrass anyone. He didn't need to. Sometimes it was just one calm sentence during a play, and by the time a defender even processed it, the shot was already falling through the net. Kellogg noticed how veterans reacted. They didn't get angry or start yelling back. Instead, there was a brief pause. Bird's words didn't feel like insults. They felt like predictions, tested and proven over and over. That's what set him apart, that he didn't talk to overwhelm opponents.